Hello, my name is Brooks Blanche, and the title of my project is The Raging Red. In my project, I compared the Red River flood of 1990 to the Red River flood of 2015. In 1990, an El Nino pattern of the Pacific Ocean affected global weather patterns worldwide. An El Nino is abnormally warm water in the Pacific Ocean that stretches from the tip of California all the way down to Ecuador and northern Peru. In 1990, the flood reached a crest of 34.5 feet and flooded hundreds of thousands of acres of farmland and pastureland all along the banks of the river. It also left thousands of heads of cattle standing in standing water. In 2015, the floods were caused by extreme amounts of rain in the spring of 2015 and especially in the month of May. In this map, it shows rainfall in the months of May, and you can see it goes 18 to 24 is the largest amount, but there's this white area. That white area is an area called Lawton, Oklahoma, and they received 25 inches of rain in the month of May in 2015. And all this water, this area right here is what this area is on this map, and that is the river watershed. So when all that water comes, all that rain comes, all that is all in the river watershed, it all funnels down into the river at about just a little north of Shreveport Bossier. And then when that river gets so high, it all floods over, and that flood reached a crest of 37 feet. And that had been building all spring, and May was just kind of just topped it off, and that was when, in June was when it flooded. In 2015, one major issue was inaccurate predictions. The flood was only predicted at 34 feet, but it crested at 37 feet. So this caused a nightmare for many homeowners. I interviewed Mr. William Ham, who is a resident of the La Maison subdivision in Shreveport, Louisiana. He said that constantly changing predictions were probably the most frustrating thing throughout the entire ordeal. Literally daily, the prediction would go up, and we had to scramble for more sandbags and help. It was an emotional roller coaster because we would feel prepared and we would be panicked by a higher prediction. So I was wondering, well, why was it like this? Why were the predictions so off? I found this quote from Gerd Raimondo, who was with the Army Corps of Engineers, and he said there are two ways you can go about predicting a river. One is by using a study, and that study looks at the bottom of the river and anything inside the levees, and by observation. And the last observations we had were from 1990. He followed that but in this day and age, or he seemingly have data on everything, how could the river not have been looked at in 25 years? And this really intrigued me, and it leads me to my next point. In the months since I've completed my project, the Red River has been high again, and it reached a crest of 31.4 feet on January 2nd, 2016. It began to rise again in late November and in December of 2015. Also, a flood technical committee has been formed to study the river in the obvious issue that flooding does occur, and when it occurs, it is catastrophic. So the flood technical committee's ultimate goal is to be prepared whenever the next flood does come, even if that is not for 10, 20, or 30 years. They've also created this map which shows high water areas where water reached in the 2015 flood. In 2015, one major problem, aside from the major issue of inaccurate predictions, one other problem was contamination. This picture, you can see a dead snake, and the Red River is extremely muddy, where it gets its name. It carries lots of sediment and bacteria in that mud. So when all this when all this water comes and it's very muddy and thick and it has all this bacteria, not only does it get in your home, but it's in your yard. So it leaves this bacteria in your yard, in your home, and it's a big hassle for homeowners to have to deal with. Also, a lot of homeowners build sandbag walls to. Okay, a lot of homeowners build sandbag walls to keep the water out. But with the inaccurate predictions, they build a sandbag wall high enough to keep out a 34-foot river. But the next day, it's going to be 35 feet. So you have to build another one. And one thing they do with these walls is they shrink wrap them. So you have to make them watertight. But when you have all these different shrink wrap walls on top of each other, the water is going to seep through. So the seepage was a big problem. It also was able to seep under. I learned that from Mr. Ham. And you can see in this picture in the black objects in the back, those are pumps, and the pumps are used to keep the water out. But there's nowhere for the water to go. There's nowhere for the water to go. So it just pumps back over. Another thing that this flood technical committee did was they put in pumps. They put in pumps by the parkway in December to prevent flooding there. Eventually, floodwaters got so high for homeowners they had to use boats to access their walls. And maintaining these pumps and walls it was a constant process, and it was a constant process. It never stopped, especially with all the changing predictions.